Hello, welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. We're trying to help you get your practice to the $1,000,000 mark and beyond. Today I want to go over my one-page report. This is something that I put together each month. It's my own personal kind of report on how my practice is doing and kind of things that I'm working on. And I think it's sometimes good for others to kind of pull back the screen and kind of see what's working, what's not working in my practice. And with these other things with Podiatry Practice Mastery. So this is the one for September 2025. And so I'm going to be going over kind of what was happening in August, so my progress towards my goals. So my focus for August kind of messed up, and I want to explain why. And this is something I think that we all kind of struggle with. So my first focus was on improving our urgent care page and making patient referral request cards. So I've been focusing a lot on getting an attraction offer for our clinic that's not going to discount our services. So I wasn't too interested in giving the whole, get in for, $197 to get x-rays and a foot exam. That just wasn't too exciting, that discount offer. We didn't really want to offer that discount. So we feel like in our practice we could offer more value by speeding up the time that they can be seen. And we can currently do that because we have a new associate, and we can usually fit new patients in within 24 to 48 hours. And I think that's a good point because a lot of clinics can't. I wanted to make some improvements and put a little referral request card, so basically an urgent care card that I can, like a postcard size thing, that I can give to all of my patients. And then I wanted to give it to some of the local shoe stores that we send patients to so that they could kind of reciprocate that. What went wrong is that we have been seeing a lot of these patients, but I wasn't able to make these request cards because it depended upon me. So what I did, and this is, I'll give you kind of what I did and then kind of what you could do if you wanted to do something like this. I found my biggest challenge is finding time to work on what we call buffer activities. Buffer activities are kind of future revenue producing activities because I'm so kind of busy with patients in the treatment room. So if you're like that, a lot of times you have ideas, you have these lists of things that you need to get done. So there's a good book, it's called Who Not How. And it kind of talks about how to use delegation. So what I did is I have a virtual assistant. Her name is Faye, and she helps us with like marketing and sending out our e-newsletter. And we're actually going to be using her more to help our practice. But so if you don't have that, you could go to Fiverr and probably find someone for $20 to develop these ideas. And I found that the best way to develop and kind of be clear on what you want is by using ChatGPT and like the recording function on the phone. So what I would do is I would record kind of what I'm looking for. And like I'm wanting to develop a urgent care postcard that's going to send people to the website with a QR code, and they'll be able to make an appointment, giving the value of 24 to 48 hour appointments. And then if they're not ready for that, then I want to put in my 30-second foot analyzer. Okay, so that's kind of what I would say. I would transcribe it, I would put it into ChatGPT, and then I would make out kind of a description of what I'm looking for. And then you could post that in Fiverr, and you could give it a price, or you could find a company that already does that. There's two different ways in Fiverr. One way is you look for someone that actually offers to make postcards, and the other way is that you actually post it as a job and you give it a price. What would you pay for that? $50, $100? If it's a good one, I'd probably pay $100 at least. And so if you're unsure to vet people, sometimes what I'll do is I'll post it for two different people on Fiverr. So you can pick a couple of people. So if you want to do multiple jobs, you can pay them both, and that's fine, because one is probably going to outperform the other one. So that's what I would do, and that's what I did actually. So I realized I did not get this done, and so I sent it over to Faye, and she's going to be working on it. Another thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make a special web page for the sneaker store to give priority access to customers with an email submit form to offer other types of things that might benefit them. So I was thinking, well, one option is to put in this postcard. The other option is to make a sneaker store specific one. I've kind of scrapped that one for now. I think it would be a good idea, but maybe not right now. Let me get it going. Let me get it tested, and then I can make it specific to the shoe store. And then the last thing was these referral cards for them. for the actual, so we'd have some for the office. I think I'm going to print them all normal, and then I can do sneaker store specific ones, because I think this is going to be a good value add. So just to clarify what the offer is. One is if they're ready to see a doctor right now, they can get in within 24 to 48 hours. If they're not ready, I put something called a 30-second foot analyzer on there. So if you go to our website, if you want to see that, go to centralmasspodiatry.com. What it is, it's a Google form that has the most common conditions in a real quick kind of this quiz. It's a quiz that they can go through to go through that. I put that together a while ago, and a lot of patients go through and use it. I have kind of a hard time tracking it, but I do know that patients sometimes mention that to me. Okay, the metrics for this month, my billing was $92K. Now, we switched recently to ModMed, and I'm still not quite sure how to use the reportings. So I would like to tell you my orthotics, my Shockwave, my Swift, my Amnio, but I can't because I don't have a great way to report those. I'm trying to get those reports. I'll tell you as I get it. So what's the goal? The goal is $80,000 per month or more, because if you do $80,000 a month per more, then you're going to be able to get to the $1 million mark. So 92 is a good number. You have to, one thing that we realized when we were looking at our numbers recently, some of my numbers are going to get cut down a little bit because for the Qtenza, it's a high capital expense that we cut out of our reimbursements, because it let's say it costs $7,000 and we get paid $6,500 for it. So it's really kind of a wash. So we're not going to get our percentage in our clinic based on that number. So the way we do it in our office is we each get 30% of what we produce, and so it just wouldn't be fair that. I got 17 reviews, and there was 101 downloads of some of the material on our website. I think those things are a good thing to track. Also, I'm trying to track within our new medical record, we're able to track where patients specifically come from, so that's going to be added to our monthly reports that my office manager does. She gives us these numbers each month, so we have the number of new patients, follow-up patients, and things like that. Maybe I'll start including that in here, that you might be interested in that. But I'm still working on pulling those reports. So what are some of the updates? We've switched back to Swell. We were trying to use ModMed Clara for online reviews, or for getting reviews, but it was a little too cumbersome, so we switched back to Swell, and we're excited about that. I'll give you more feedback how it's going. There are multiple different ways of doing it, but I think the automated method is the best versus manually asking every single patient. That's how ours is. I'm continuing to do daily shorts that are edited by my virtual assistant. I'm enjoying that work. I think it's fun. I think it gives value to patients. It gives me content for my newsletter. It gives me content on our social media. It gives us content on other things like that. For Fiverr, I've been kind of focusing on Podiatry Practice Mastery, improving the podcast, and I paid someone on Fiverr $200 or $300 to edit 200 podcast episodes. So basically, they took them, threw them in the ChatGPT, and then they got the show notes, timestamps, and everything else like that for the podcast. So I was trying to kind of improve the SEO functionality of the podcast, because I like doing the podcast, but sometimes that SEO portion is not as fun for me. So I found just someone that I could pay to do that. One thing I was kind of proud of, I got our class schedule for the kids this school year. They're back to school, and I took their vacation weeks and I just blocked them out of my schedule. So this is something, as my kids now are 9 and 11, and I just find that being present for them on their vacation time, I used to worry about, who's taking time off in the clinic, but now I've realized I just kind of take that time off to be with my kids. So if we're a little bit slower those days, I think that's okay in the long run. But I'm excited about scheduling some longer vacations during those times. We have a guy named Mateo. He is from Colombia, and he is helping us make virtual appointments. So appointments, we have too many phone calls for our staff, and he is helping us with that. So I have another company that's helping out with that. That has been really nice for our staff, kind of offloads them. There's still some tweaks to help him schedule them better, but it's a good experience having someone answer the phones for us. We still don't have, we have an actual check-in when they come in. They have a little iPad that they use through ModMed to check in, but like we have some people, they use like a kiosk. We still actually check people in and do things like that. As I think I mentioned, if you listened before, we hired a virtual marketing assistant. We were paying about $500 or $600 a month, and we wanted to do a test. So the way I kind of like to do tests is I want to do it for 3 months, 3 or 4 months, and see how it goes. So I've tested them for a number of months, just doing some small tasks, and now I'm going to increase because I have increased trust in them. And so the whole focus for them is to get our associate busier and get us all busier through their work. And so they are already editing videos, they're already sending out our newsletter. They are going to start actually trying to push patients to make appointments, and they're gonna virtually kind of book appointments through our online scheduler. So it's real easy for them to do that. I made a shoe video for Birchberry. Birchberry are the dress shoes that I like, and they asked me to do a video. Those are kind of fun things I like to do, so I made a little video. And on a personal note, I think I've been talking, if you've found some of this before, my dad has some dementia, was with us for a long time. We found a really good place that's right near my office called Dodge Park, and so he is now there full time. So it was kind of a difficult time for the last many months because of just the dynamics with the family and my wife and things like that. We made a little in-law apartment, tried to keep him there as long as we could, but it's just better to have him in this kind of dementia place. So that was kind of a challenge. I'm learning more about cost to acquire a customer and lifetime value, and I'm trying to improve my tracking of these things. So I'm trying to take all of my expenses, like the virtual assistants, making appointments, marketing, all these things, and then putting that and comparing that to the number of new patients, and then tracking where the actual new patients come. Because we haven't been, up to this point, very good at keeping track of these numbers, but I'm excited for this to improve. And so I'm working on this. I have this all in like a worksheet. Like it's basically a Google Excel or Google Sheets. If you want to see what I'm doing and how I'm looking at these numbers, I have these for profitability for Swift, for Shockwave, for our associate, and then I'm working also for the cost to acquire a customer. So I'm working on that. And basically what I did, if you want to know, is I took our last 2-year financial statements and took out, and I actually scanned those into ChatGPT along with the formulas to determine how much it is for us to get a patient and what we're paying actually in marketing and advertising. So it pulled that from the financial statements, pulled a number of new patients that we received. Now I know it's not including goodwill and referrals from other primary carers or things like that, but it was a good way for me to get a sense of how much we're paying. We're paying virtually nothing. So we can only go up in terms of investing in that because our returns are so extraordinary in terms of we're paying nothing and we're getting all these new patients. Certainly a lot of them are referred, but it's hard to calculate referral. But I want to track and increase more of these new patients and then follow-up patients in the office. And then lastly, I don't think I mentioned, we took a couple-week vacation to Brazil. We had a good trip there. And I've started to use price anchoring. And I'm trying to, so price anchoring is where you talk about something that's a higher value, and then you kind of come down. So this has been something that's been fun. It is something that I would offer, but it helps people to take kind of what I offer. So for example, when I'm talking about Shockwave, I'll say, okay, Shockwave 6 sessions is $1,500. You know, a lot of patients do Shockwave and they could do amnio or PRP, which is another $1,500. But in your specific case, I don't think we need that. So because I've told them it's going to be like $3,000 and then to go back down to $1,500, they're a lot more willing to do that Shockwave. So finishing up here, what are my kind of focuses for the next month, which would be delegate that urgent care postcard to virtual assistants. I want to actually track and get some numbers so I can go over this with you of the cost to acquire a customer and the lifetime value. And I want to learn to make these reports on ModMed. So I'm going to try to find out who that can help me make these reports because I'm not sure how to do it. But hope you guys enjoyed this. Once again, the goal here is to give more value to you than others are charging for. Help get your practice to $1 million mark and beyond. If you like this, find this beneficial, please put a like on wherever you're listening to this. And if you have any questions or you want to reach out with anything, my email is don@Podiatry Practice Mastery. Always looking to help you out to get your practice there. And I find a lot of times the questions actually inspire me for new content. Okay, have a great day.